Revealed. My daughter's $33 million windfall led to unexpected heartbreak days later. She came begging. Caroline had always worn her smile like armor, even on the hardest days. After losing her husband, a dedicated veteran who had given his life for his country, she found strength in every plate she served at the local diner. She rose before dawn, her tired bones waking alongside the sun, and reminded herself that her daughter Mia was her light. In their small Midwestern town, they were known for their unbreakable bond and resilience. Caroline had taught Mia that true wealth wasn't in dollar signs but in love, family, and integrity. But as life would have it, the unexpected was lurking just around the corner. One cool autumn evening, Mia entered a national talent competition, her heart pounding with hope and fear. She wanted to uplift her mother, to take the weight of bills off those weary shoulders. To her astonishment, she caught the eye of a talent scout and sealed a shocking $33 million endorsement deal. Their small house was flooded with joy, and Caroline believed they could finally breathe. But as quickly as fortune smiled on them, it began to weave a divide. In the days that followed, Mia transformed before Caroline's eyes. The glitz and glamour of fame overshadowed the values Caroline had instilled in her. Parties, celebrity friends, lavish gifts, they all captivated Mia like moths to a flame. Her mother, once her cheering squad, seemed to fade into the background, and Mia became increasingly detached from their modest roots. The whispers of their tight-knit community grew louder. Before long, Caroline felt a chill from neighbors who once upheld their family with loving gazes. They watched Mia slip away, indulging in a lifestyle that pushed her farther from home and the heart values Caroline had nurtured. One rainy afternoon, while scrolling through social media, Caroline's chest tightened as she recognized the adoration Mia received from those who cared more about her wealth than her heart. It was a gut-wrenching reality check for a mother who had sacrificed everything. The tight hugs and late-night laughs had been traded for a world where friendships felt hollow and genuine connections were non-existent. Mia's charm faded, revealing the loneliness that came with her glittering facade. One evening, as she glanced around at the empty faces surrounding her, it hit her hard. Everything was wrong. Despite her seemingly perfect life, Mia felt empty, trapped beneath layers of superficiality and glitter. Yearning for the warmth of her mother's unconditional love and support, regret clawed at her guts, reminding her of how she had let ambition blind her from the truest treasure she ever possessed. Desperate for solace, she returned home one night, her heart racing with fear and guilt. Caroline opened the door, her eyes pooling with tears at the sight of her girl, now a shadow of the vibrant child she once knew. It was then that the reality of their disconnection struck hardest. Love had to be reignited, but could they heal the wounds that ambition had inflicted? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With their town rallying around Caroline, the whispers turned to shouts of support. Together they reminded Mia of what it meant to be truly successful, of togetherness, love, and the warmth that filled their once shared home. Yet as Mia stood at a crossroads, weighing ambition against the love of her mother, one pressing question hung in the air. Could their bond withstand the scars of betrayal, or had ambition driven an unbridgeable wedge between them? The answer awaited them just beyond the threshold. The air was thick with unspoken words as Mia took a step inside. The familiar creak of the floor beneath her felt like a long-lost greeting. Memories flooded back, dinners filled with laughter, evenings curled up on the couch watching movies, and long talks about dreams and fears. But now shadows loomed over those memories, tainting them with regret. Caroline stood there, hands trembling slightly, a mixture of worry and love etched across her face. Mia, she breathed, her voice cracking like fragile glass. The warmth of that single word sent a rush of emotions surging through Mia. She was home, yet everything felt different. Mom, Mia faltered, the whirlwind of thoughts crashing into one another. Should she confess the depth of her loneliness? Should she admit how lost she felt while surrounded by glitz? The guilt wrapped around her heart like a heavy cloak, making it hard to breathe. Caroline stepped forward, closing the distance, her arms opening instinctively. The embrace felt familiar yet foreign. They both held on tightly, as if anchoring themselves against the storm of the world outside. Time stood still in that moment, their heartbeats synchronizing, weaving the fabric of their bond back together. As they pulled apart, Caroline wiped a tear from her cheek, her gaze searching Mia's for the girl she used to know. "You don't have to be perfect, honey. You just need to be you," she said gently. "I just wanted to make things better for us," Mia replied, her chin trembling. "But I lost sight of what really mattered. I convinced myself that fame would solve everything. Fame doesn't fill the void, Mia. It can't replace love or the joy of simply being together." Caroline's voice was steady, but deep in her chest, she felt a pang of fear for her daughter. "It's okay to make mistakes. What's important is how we choose to move forward." Mia nodded, but uncertainty lingered. The doubt clawed at the back of her mind. Could this really be repaired? She glanced at the walls, the photos of their past together, and a rush of longing consumed her. "I miss us," she confessed softly. "I miss us too." Caroline gathered her daughter in once more, breathing in the scent of her hair, a mix of shampoo and the faint remnants of the boyish perfume Mia had begun to wear, a symbol of how she had unintentionally drifted into a world far from home. After a moment, Caroline released her. "Let us make a promise, okay? No matter what happens, we'll always have this home as our foundation. We'll rebuild together." Mia felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. It was a small flame, almost fragile, but it was there. I need to find my way back," she said with newfound strength. As the evening settled in around them, reconciliation felt possible. They began to share stories, Mia's nights spent in empty rooms surrounded by unfamiliar faces, Caroline's daily struggles at the diner, and how the community still cared deeply, hoping for their return to one another. But the following morning, an unexpected phone call shattered the fragile peace. An urgent voice on the other end echoed in Mia's ear, jolting her from a moment of clarity into confusion. "Mia, you need to come to the studio. It's important." "They're not happy." Ice coursed through her veins. The very world that lured her away was beckoning her back, demanding her attention. Would the pressures of the industry swallow her whole again? Would her resolve be strong enough to withstand its pull? As she paced the living room, torn between two worlds, one thing was clear. The next step would be crucial. The heart-pounding question loomed, echoing through her mind. In choosing between the life she once coveted and the love she yearned to rebuild, would she find a balance or tip the scales too far into the darkness again? Mia's heart raced as she stared at her phone, the voice still ringing in her ears. "They're not happy." What did that even mean? The weight of their expectations crushed down on her, making her feel small and insignificant. She glanced back at Caroline, who was busy tidying the small dining table, unaware of the turmoil inside her daughter. "Mom," Mia called out, her voice unsteady. Caroline looked up, sensing the change in Mia's tone. "What is it, sweetheart?" "I have to go to the studio," Mia confessed, the words slipping from her mouth as if they were band-aids torn from her skin. "They said they need me." Caroline's face fell. "Me? Are you sure? You just came back. It can wait, can't it?" Mia ran a hand through her hair, her thoughts a jumbled mess. "I thought they would understand that I needed time. I thought this was all behind me." But deep down she knew the lure of the studio, the lights, the glamour, the thrill, called to her like a siren's song. "Maybe it's a chance to finally take control," Mia said, trying to convince herself as much as her mother. "I can show them I'm serious about my career. About everything." But Caroline's expression remained troubled. "Just promise me you won't let them pull you back into that world. You don't need it." "I'll try," Mia replied, vulnerability creeping into her voice. She wanted to believe this was right, that she could navigate this bridge between the past and her future. After a quick breakfast, Mia stepped outside, the crisp morning air a stark contrast to the emotions that tangled within her. Each step towards the studio felt heavy. The bustling streets that once excited her now felt suffocating. When she arrived, the atmosphere inside was tense. The bright fluorescent lights bathed everything in a harsh glow, and the chatter of crew members sounded like discordant notes. Mia's presence didn't seem to ease the tension. Eyes darted toward her, and whispers followed in her wake. "Mia's here," someone said. Mia felt the weight of their expectations like a thick fog wrapping around her. "Straighten up," an assistant hissed to a nearby cameraman. "We can't afford another meltdown." Another voice, sharper and demanding, sliced through the air. Where have you been? We were gearing up for a big meeting. Your performance needs to be on point. Mia's stomach twisted. What were you thinking, taking such a long break? The director stepped forward, arms crossed, eyebrows furrowed. You can't just drop everything and come back only when it's convenient for you. Their words slammed into her like a freight train. The pressure building, squeezing out the small spark of hope she had felt with Caroline. I'm trying to manage things, I truly am, Mia said, her voice trembling. I just need some support. I thought you'd understand support? This is a business, Mia. You need to show us you're worth the investments we've put in you. The director continued, his impatience evident. Frustration bubbled within her. A part of her wanted to scream that she hadn't asked for this chaos. Another part reminded her of the fear lurking behind in the shadows, the fear of losing everything again. Before she could form a response, her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a text from Caroline. Remember why you came home. You are stronger than this. Tears pricked at Mia's eyes, blurring her vision. Could she really stand her ground against a world that had taken so much from her? Just then, a phone rang loudly in the studio and everyone turned to look. It was the call no one expected. Mia, you need to see this, shouted a crew member. The news just broke about your $33 million deal. You need to respond fast. Mia's pulse raced. Her life was about to spiral into chaos again. And she stood at the center of it all. Would this finally push her into the heart of the industry she thought she could handle? Or would it tear her apart again? As the room buzzed with energy and uncertainty, Mia felt the crushing weight of choices. Would she embrace the allure of the industry again, at the cost of what she had fought to rebuild with her mother? Mia's mind raced as she processed the announcement, the room swirling around her. Her heart hammered against her chest, a mix of excitement and dread. A $33 million deal? Was this really happening to her? The voices of the crew faded into a hum, the reality of her situation sinking deeper. Breathe, Mia, she whispered to herself, forcing her eyes to stay focused on the director, who was now barking orders, rallying the crew to capitalize on the sudden media attention. She felt the weight of judgment in the air, every glance a reminder of her past struggles. The fear of judgment loomed, but the thrill of success tried to break through, tangling with her doubts. Your first response is everything, the director said, pulling her out of her spiral. We need to craft a statement. You know the numbers, they can work for us or against us. Mia nodded, her voice barely a whisper. Okay, I'll do it. The words came out, but they felt hollow. Could she really step into this role again, knowing what it had cost her before? The studio buzzed with anticipation, a world that once felt like home now felt foreign and unwelcoming. Before Mia could climb out of her thoughts, an assistant thrust a tablet into her hands. You need to read this. It's about the deal and the public reaction. It's a lot. She glanced at the screen, her eyes widening at the news headlines flashing before her. Unhinged starlet returns to industry with surprising $33 million. Read one. Another declared Mia's comeback. Can she handle the pressure? Most terrifying of all was the growing negativity in the comments section. Critics were already on her, questioning her worthiness, her talent, and whether she could handle the world's expectations. A lump formed in her throat. Did they know how much she had fought to come back? Did they care that she had almost lost herself in this very world? The excitement from moments ago faded rapidly, overtaken by an onslaught of familiar anxiety. Get ready for the cameras, the director said, snapping her back into reality. This is your moment. Show them what you've got. Mia took a deep breath, her fists clenched around the tablet. It was now or never. Would she take her place on that stage, or would she flee once more into the safety of the life she had just begun to rebuild? She stepped toward the center of the studio, the glaring lights blinding her momentarily. As the camera started rolling, time seemed to halt. The weight of the world was again on her shoulders, and she could feel the pressure closing in. Every face in the crowd looked expectant, ready for her to falter. Mia, what do you have to say? A voice shouted from the back. A swell of adrenaline surged through her. This isn't just a deal, she declared, trying to steady her voice and muster confidence. This is about the journey I've been on to get here. But she hesitated. The truth pushed against her lips, ready to spill. But would they really understand? Would they see the scars behind her bravado? Suddenly, Her phone buzzed again in her pocket, a reminder of home. Caroline's words echoed in her mind. "You are stronger than this." And just like that, Mia's resolve began to sharpen. If she was going to dive back in, it would be on her terms, with her truth intact. As the questions continued, something inside her shifted, deepening her determination. She opened her mouth to continue, but something else flickered in her periphery, a familiar face standing just outside the studio, watching with a tense expression. It was her father, someone she hadn't expected to see. The weight of years without him crashed in a single moment. What did he want now? "Mia," he called, stepping into view. "We need to talk." Her heart sank, and once again, she felt the threads of her life threatening to unravel. How could she handle this along with everything else? What did he want to say that couldn't he wait? And as she stood there, balancing her past against her future, she realized that this moment might change everything again. Would she find strength in her history, or would it pull her under? Mia's breath caught in her throat as her father stepped toward her, the world around her fading into insignificance. The studio lights felt like they were dimming with the weight of his presence. His face showed worry and something deeper, something she couldn't quite place. After years of silence, this was the last moment she expected. "Dad." "Not now," she managed, her voice barely more than a whisper. The cameras were on her, the crew was buzzing, but all she could see was him. His presence was both a comfort and a storm, stirring up emotions she had buried long ago. "Mia, please," he insisted, urgency spilling over into his words. "I know you're in the middle of something, but we need to talk. It's important." His tone made her stomach twist. Important? What could possibly be so important that it couldn't wait? She could feel the sharp insistence of the moment press down on her, her heart racing as she forced herself to stay composed. The director, sensing the shift, waved his hands, whispering instructions to the crew. "Cut." A moment later, the studio went quiet, the tension hanging thick in the air. "Just a moment, please," Mia declared, her voice gaining strength as she stepped toward him. For once, the roar of the crowd faded from her mind, and it was only her father's anxious eyes that mattered. "Can we talk outside?" he pleaded, glancing at the crew before returning his gaze to her. There was a flicker of something in his eyes, a reminder of the man who left. Mia hesitated. The cameras were off, but all eyes still felt glued to her. "It's not a good time for me, Dad. I need to get back." "I saw the headlines," he interrupted, his voice barely above a whisper but heavy with urgency. "I've been reading everything. People are talking about you and me. They don't know what happened between us." Something clenched in her chest. His presence was a ripple on the surface of a pond. Waves of old pain latched onto the edges of her heart. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice a mixture of anger and fear. "Why now?" His brow furrowed. "I want to explain. I never meant to leave the way I did, and I never wanted to hurt you. Can we just talk?" She glanced back at the director, who was now glaring at her, frustration flooding his features. But this was about her, not the production. The chance to confront her past felt both like a lifeline and a trap. She took a shaky breath, the scrutiny from the crew suddenly overwhelming. "Fine," she said, pushing through the crowded studio toward the exit, her father trailing behind. The door swung open into the bustling noise of the outside world. She felt an odd comfort in leaving the artificial lights behind, but as soon as they stepped into the sunlight, the weight of reality came crashing down. "What do you want from me?" Mia blasted, facing him. "I just want to be honest, Mia," he said, his hands gesturing as he stumbled over his words. "I didn't know how to be a father. I thought leaving would make things easier for you, but it only made it harder on both of us. You think you get to walk back in after all these years? After everything?" Her voice trembled with anger. "Do you even realize how much I've fought to be here? This moment is everything I wanted, and then you show up like this?" He flinched slightly, guilt painting his features as she continued to unleash the tide of long-held feelings. The tension escalated, the clouds above darkening in a strange reflection of their exchange. "Mia, if I had known this would happen, I would have stayed," he said, emotion creeping into his voice. "I want to support you now for whatever comes next." A flicker of vulnerability crossed her mind, the barrier she had built around her heart trembling but not breaking. "And what if I don't want your support? What if I don't want you in my life?" As a wave of conflicting emotions washed over her, she felt the familiar taste of bitterness. Could she honestly forgive him? Did she even want to try? Standing there, the echoes of her past bellowed in the silence, and it was clear this was just the beginning. One question loomed large in her mind, now swirling above the clamor outside. Was it too late for reconciliation? Or was this a chance to reclaim her story? As she prepared for his response, her heart pounded with uncertainty. What would he say? And more importantly, what would she decide? The heat of the midday sun soaked into Mia's skin, but she felt a chill running down her spine. The air crackled with tension as she stared at the man who had once been her rock, now a figure made of shadows and regret. Why did you leave us? She asked again, her voice rising slightly, unwilling to be drowned out by the noise of the world bustling around them. How could you think this was for the best? I thought I was protecting you, he replied, his voice thick with emotion. I thought you'd have a better life without me. I was so scared of being a failure, of dragging you down with me. Mia felt herself softening against his deep, pained stare, but she quickly hardened her heart again. But you didn't even check if I was okay. You just walked away. I thought leaving would give you space, he urged, stepping closer. To grow, to thrive, to do everything I couldn't. Silence held them captive for a long time, the weight of words unsaid hovering in the air between them. Mia's mind flashed back to family dinners that felt more like chores. She could still hear her mother laughing nervously, pouring one too many glasses of wine to fill the emptiness that had settled in their home after he left. She thought about the missed birthdays, the holidays spent with a hole in her heart, and the countless times she had wished her father would just appear out of nowhere and say he was sorry. His blue eyes, once so full of warmth, now mirrored her anguish. I know I can't change the past. I just hope you can see that I'm trying to be part of your life now. Trying is not enough, Dad, Mia countered, her words biting. The thumping of her heart echoed in her ears, filled not with anger but with fear. What if he hurt her again? You don't just get to walk back into my life and think everything will be fine. Taking a step back, she crossed her arms against the warmth of the sun, creating a barrier between them. She could feel tears brimming, but she fought them back. I've built my own life without you. I don't need you for anything anymore. But Mia, his voice strained with desperation. You're the best thing I've ever had. Just give me the chance to what? She cut him off, frustration bubbling. To mess it all up again? To disappear when things get tough? I can't go through that again. His shoulders slumped, and in that moment, Mia felt a flicker of empathy. But intuition screamed at her to stay guarded. Please just take a moment to think about what I'm saying, he urged. I want to be here for you. I want to help you with whatever is coming next. I want to be the father you deserve, not the one I was. The crowd behind her began to move, laughter piercing through the heavy conversation, snapping her back to reality. People were returning to their ordinary lives, while she felt suspended in time. Mia's head swirled with the glimpses of a past that she was trying so hard to outrun. What do you want me to say? She finally whispered, feeling drained yet conflicted. Just start there, he pleaded. Say something. Anything. Let us build from this moment. As moments passed, Mia wrestled with herself. Was she ready to open the door, even a crack? Fear and yearning clashed inside her like a storm about to break. Before she could speak, a news alert buzzed on her phone, stealing her attention. The headlines were sensational, the world holding its breath for her next move, her life laid bare for public critique. Mia fixed her gaze on her father, then glanced down at the jarring headline, feeling something shift inside her. Maybe this was a chance not just for healing, but for redefining who she was both in public and private. So what's next if I say yes? She asked, her voice steady with newfound determination. His eyes brightened, a spark of hope igniting between them again. We take it one step at a time together. But as Mia took a breath to continue, doubt swarmed her mind like bees, buzzing with resistance. She had what she wanted, the recognition and the career she fought for. Did she really want to share that with him? And there, in the chaos of her thoughts, the question hung heavily in the air. Could she really forgive him? Or was this just another chapter of heartbreak waiting to unfold? Mia's heart raced as she read the headline again, her mind racing faster than her pulse. This was the reality she had fought so hard to create, a life built under bright lights, recognition, and accomplishment. But now, it felt heavier than ever, as if all that success was about to crumble with one glance back at the shadows of her past. Your life, it's more than just money or fame. her father said, breaking through her frantic thoughts. You've become someone amazing, Mia. I don't want to ruin that. I just want a chance to be part of it. His sincerity tugged at her heartstrings. Yet, doubt felt like a vice tightening around her thoughts. This isn't some fairy tale, Dad. You can't just stroll back into my life because you think I owe you that. What if this all comes crashing down again? The bustling crowd around them faded as they stood in their own world, a cocoon of unspoken feelings. If it does, I promise I'll be there. This time I'll be a part of the fallout instead of running away to avoid it. Just give me a chance. She wanted to scream, to unleash all her fears and frustrations. Instead, she took a deep breath, determined to wrestle with the storm brewing inside her. What if I say yes? The question hung there, daring him to take a leap of hope. That he stepped closer, lowering his voice. If you say yes, we can start rebuilding. We can rediscover who we are together. I want to support you, help you navigate through this whirlwind. But I can't do it alone. You have to want it too. Mia's heart softened briefly. The vision of them, learning to navigate this uncharted territory, ignited a tiny flame of possibility. But just as quickly, that warmth shriveled beneath the weight of the past. What if they only stumbled deeper into the chaos that was their history? Don't you see how hard this is for me? She finally said, frustration leaking into her voice. I've kept you out for a reason. What if you end up disappointing me again? I'm asking you to trust me, he replied, his voice steady but shaken. It's the only way we can move forward. Mia glanced around. People jostled by, unaware of the emotional storm brewing. Their laughter felt like an intrusion, a reminder of the world that moved on without them. She took another deep breath, and amidst everything, a single thought broke through the chaos. What would it be like to lean into vulnerability for once? Her fingers trembled as she clutched her phone tighter, the weight of the notifications simmering as they threatened to pull her back into the public eye. I don't know if I can do this, she admitted, her voice almost a whisper. You're not alone anymore, Mia. I'm here, I'm trying. For a fleeting moment, they both faded into the noise of the crowd, sharing the same breath, a delicate bond forged from a shared pain. But the barriers built over the years still loomed tall between them. Then show me, she said, the challenge lingering in the air. But until I see you fighting for it, I won't budge. My life isn't a game anymore. Just then, a sharp beep from her phone echoed, pulling her back. A new notification lit up the screen, and the chilling headline was suddenly overshadowed by a message from her manager. We need to address the media storm. This won't wait. Mia's heart dropped. Was the world really witnessing her pain at this moment? Did the fragile connection with her father stand a chance against the chaos looming outside? She raised her eyes to meet his, each wondering what would come next. Looks like we both have bigger fires to put out, she said, forcing a half-hearted smile. Then let us do it together. One step at a time, remember? He reached for her hand. But as she considered the weight of his offer, the undeniable truth replayed in her mind. Could their tentative reunion withstand the storm? Or would the outside world tear them apart before they ever had a chance to rebuild? Mia felt her breath hitch as she looked down at her phone, the stark reality of the message sinking in. Would she be forced to face the world before she even had a chance to make sense of it all? Her father, sensing her panic, squeezed her hand. We'll handle this together, Mia. We can face whatever comes, but we need to be on the same page. Just trust me this once. Each word was a gentle push against her walls. Trust. That word felt heavy but also strangely exhilarating. Could she truly let him in, even amidst the chaos? Okay, she whispered. We'll do this together, but I need you to stay. No disappearing acts. I need to know you're all in. The sincerity in her voice surprised even her. 100% in. His gaze held hers unwavering. With renewed resolve clashing against the torrent of anxiety in her gut, Mia pulled out her phone and took a deep breath. Let us address the media. It's better to face it head-on than let it swirl around us. They began to walk toward the nearest exit, the noise of the crowd blending into the background. Outside, the press was waiting, cameras flashing like fireflies in the dusk. We can do this, her dad encouraged as they stepped into the open air. But just as they approached the podium set up on the plaza, Mia hesitated. The sight of reporters jockeying for position, their eyes hungry for headlines, churned her stomach. The vulnerability she had just begun to expose felt like a raw wound meant to be exposed further. "Remember, you're not alone," her father whispered. "Just feels overwhelming. It's okay. Speak from your heart. The world needs to hear who you really are, not just the headlines." Mia nodded, but the fear clawed at her with sharp, merciless fingers. She had spent so long constructing a facade to protect her heart. What if her truth was too messy for the world? What if letting people in just gave them ammunition to wound her again? As she approached the podium, the noise of the cameras faded to the background, replaced by a thundering heartbeat in her ears. "Hello everyone. I know why you're here." She paused, gripping the edge of the stand tightly, feeling her father's reassuring presence at her side. The press stared back expectantly, ready for the spectacle of scandal, ready to dissect her every word. "I want to take a moment to address the rumors. The headlines don't tell the whole story." As she spoke, the weight of her past surged up, the anger, the hurt, the longing for a father she barely remembered. But there was something else too: resilience. This was her chance to reclaim her narrative, to reshape the way her story was told. And for the first time, she felt the stirrings of shared strength between her and her father. "The truth is, I've been hurt before. I let fear drive me away. But today I stand here not just as an individual, but as someone who believes in second chances." Sudden flashes erupted from the crowd as her words lingered in the air. The silence buzzed with unspoken questions. "Why are you looking at me that way? I'm just Mia, and I'm still learning how to navigate all this." Cheers erupted, but beneath them, there was a current of deeper emotions: pain, fear, and the hope that lingered on the edges of her uncertainty. As the crowd erupted into questions, Mia locked eyes with her father, who nodded slightly, a sign of solidarity. She readied herself for whatever came next, but just before she could respond to the first question, her phone buzzed again, the screen lighting up with another notification. Breaking news. Mia's father in major scandal. What comes next? The ground seemed to shift beneath her. Could her father's past disrupt the fragile healing they had just begun? Mia's heart raced. Would they face yet another storm? Or had they just begun to fight for something worth saving? Mia's chest tightened as the headline flashed on her screen. A wave of nausea washed over her, weighing her down like an anchor. The rush of reporters, the glaring lights, they all seemed to close in. She felt raw and exposed, as if every shred of her being was under scrutiny. This couldn't be happening now. Not when she had just begun to unveil her own truths. "What does it mean?" she stammered, her voice trembling. The question hung in the air like the sweet scent of spring, but with a bitter undertone. Her father stepped closer, urgency painting his features. "It means we need to get ahead of this. We need to control the narrative." But how? Mia's mind raced. The world cast her as a figure of wealth, a target for rumors and speculation. She had just taken a step to claim her own story, and now it felt like the stage was being stripped away, leaving her vulnerable again. "Mia," he said, catching her chin gently, forcing her to look him in the eyes. They were deep pools of unwavering support, a tether in the storm. "This doesn't define you. It's another battle, but we'll face it together. We've got to be strong. Together." Reluctantly, she nodded. She and her father were still getting to know each other, still rebuilding a bridge that had crumbled long ago. And here they were, about to face yet another gust of wind threatening to tear them apart again. Mia swallowed hard, inhaling as deeply as her quivering lungs allowed. "Let us keep moving forward," Mia said, trying to stitch confidence into her words. "When do we go back to the podium?" Her father sighed. "We need to gather ourselves first. Let us take a moment. The storm isn't going anywhere." Moments felt like hours as she stepped away, found a quieter corner of the plaza, her chest heaving with unsteady breaths. The crowd buzzed behind her, a whirlwind of inquiries and opinions. Mia wrapped her arms around herself, the urge to curl up on the ground and hide becoming all-consuming. "Mia!" A voice broke through the haze, a young woman she recognized from the earlier events. It was Grace, the reporter who had often asked her questions about her life. Now there was a softness in Grace's eyes, an understanding. "Mia, can you clarify the story that's breaking?" It was a sweet invitation, yet it dangled a heavy weight of expectation. Mia hesitated. How could she clarify anything when she felt lost herself? "I don't know what's true anymore," she responded, her voice barely above a whisper. I just want to figure it out without all of this. She gestured towards the thrumming chaos around them. Grace nodded sympathetically. You owe it to yourself to be heard. You can define your story, but it starts with honesty. Remember that. Taking a deep breath, Mia's heart raced again, this time igniting a spark. Maybe it was time to reach deeper, to open up about everything. Her past, her father, the money she didn't ask for, a narrative fueled by her truth. They returned to the stage, the chaotic energy swirling as reporters nodded expectantly. The weight of the moment pressed down. She was not just standing for herself but for her father and the life they were trying to rebuild. As she stepped up to the microphone, she glanced at her father, who beamed encouragement. I'm not going to let headlines determine who I am, Mia declared, her voice steady now. Let us clarify some things. But as she began to speak, another notification flashed on her phone, the words screaming louder than any camera shutter. Scandal deepens. Daughter receives $33 million after unknown bid. The crowd gasped, her father's expression darkening. Mia's heart sank. What now? Was their fight only beginning? Mia's world spun as she stood before the podium, her heart racing with the weight of expectations and the shadows of her past. The noise of the crowd faded into a dull roar, and her mind raced, trying to catch up to the rapid-fire news alert. She gripped the sides of the podium, searching for the strength to face what lay ahead. Listen up, she finally shouted, her voice rising over the din. This isn't just about the money. It's about my journey and my family. My life has been a roller coaster. And believe me, it's not just glitz and headlines. She could hear murmurs ripple through the crowd, curious eyes watching every move she made. There was a flicker of recognition in their faces, as if they too were wrestling with their own questions. Her father stood beside her, a grounding presence amidst the chaos. Mia, he urged softly, you've got this. Speak your truth. Tears threatened to spill over, but she held them back, summoning every ounce of courage she could find. I'm not just a number. She paused, letting the truth sink in. I'm a daughter, a friend, a person who has felt lost. I've chased dreams and faced loneliness. And what I truly long for is connection, not just praise for my achievements. Suddenly, she remembered the nights spent with Caroline, their laughter echoing in their little home. My mom taught me everything about love and resilience, she continued, voice growing stronger. That's what I want to bring back, not just for me, but for everyone I care about. The heaviness in her chest began to lift, her words weaving a new narrative, one of healing, hope, and reconciliation. The room fell silent, the media momentarily captivated by her sincerity. And as for my father, Mia said, glancing toward him. Yes, he walked away. But today I stand here trying to build a bridge between us. We all make mistakes, right? But what really matters is whether we choose to learn and grow from them. Her father's eyes shone with pride. It was a glimmer of hope she had longed to see for years, a connection starting to mend. Together we're working through this, and I believe we deserve a second chance, she added, raising her chin defiantly. Just then the energy shifted. Instead of judgment, she saw understanding in some of the faces before her. Media members began nodding, recognizing her for the real person she was, not just the starlet trending on social media. In that moment, she realized her honesty could shift perspectives as questions began to fly from every corner. Mia knew she had opened a door not only for herself but for her father as well. This wasn't just an end to the hurt. It was a beginning, a chance to rewrite their story. Stepping back from the mic, Mia turned to her father. We will take this one step at a time, right? She said quietly, the hope blossoming within her. Absolutely. No more running. We face this together, he replied, wrapping an arm around her shoulders as the whirlwind of media continued. Mia's heart swelled with determination. She had chosen to embrace the messy parts of her life, the true essence of who she was. Back in their small town, Caroline stood in front of their diner, a proud smile on her face as she listened to the news, with tears of joy in her eyes. Caroline knew they were healing. And as Mia stood facing both her past and future, she felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. No more hiding. She was ready to step boldly into the light, with her family by her side. And that moment, surrounded by flashing cameras and eager reporters, Mia found a new foundation. The money, the fame, they didn't define her. Love, connection, and the courage to face her fears did. As she turned to her father, Both of them aware of the long journey ahead, she felt empowered. This time she wouldn't just chase her dreams. She would build a life worth living, one that glimmered with hope and authenticity. And as the crowd cheered, she knew one important truth. Every moment mattered, every decision counted. Together they would embrace the future. Now everyone, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your thumbs up makes a huge difference. Comment below and share your reactions and feelings about the ending. What struck you the most? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support makes all the difference in creating more powerful stories.